And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there! Welcome back, episode 70, to the show that talks about different types of things when it comes to jobs. Oh my gosh. What's been going on with me? Nothing in terms of jobs. I took the dog out, took him for a walk, brought him back. I interviewed a comedian. I hit the microphone. The cat's outside. She's enjoying the sun on this blessed day. Big ups to the sun. What else has been going on? This is the jobs podcast. I should talk about jobs. Yesterday, if you're not caught up, I have a contract position with an unnamed website, unnamed entertainment website, and where I'm being paid to write articles and things of that nature. And my contract was renewed, thank Christ. But I just had a conversation yesterday with the person who hired me. I guess I don't know. I don't know if she's an editor. I'll just call her an editor. And it was we had one a couple of weeks ago. They're mostly just check-ins, which is really nice. Let's see. When I was at CNN, did I have any check-ins? Maybe like twice, and they made it seem like it happened all the time. I can name 3 times. I can name 3 exact times I had check-ins, mostly because the person who was in charge of me over there just stopped coming in the office, or only came in on certain days and intentionally avoided me, is what it seems like. Any Hoosers, we had check-in yesterday, and whereas at Cartoon Network, which again is the high mark for any job I've ever had, my supervisor there and had put a standing date for me every single week, whether she was inside the office or at home. And it was great. It was nice. Anyway, so yesterday it was just a chat confirming that I had signed the lease, the contract, which I did. And then it was just just a little bit of pointing me in a direction in terms of increasing my output when it comes to that job. Which is, I agree. I say, last week in terms of, I don't want to get too specific, but in terms of quote unquote success, what they have at this position, they say people who write 15 to 20 articles are going to be successful. Whereas yesterday she pointed out, last week you only wrote 8, and you at least want some money in your pocket. And she's right. She's very true. Based on what they pay, it is some money. It is some money. It makes a sum. And I agree with her. There are, but what's interesting, this is not me fighting against the idea of more is, but more is more. But it's, I'm a good writer. I know I'm a good writer. I have plenty of things to show for it. However, there's a different skill when it comes to writing a minimum 400 word article about an Instagram post, which I'm contradicting myself, because this morning I wrote, after our discussion, I wrote something about Instagram posts, but I wrote it in such a way that you could not take this to anyone else who and say do and copy the exact same thing, because mine is just straight up jokes. It's fun and funny, and it's different, and it is something that stands out. I like it, and I was hoping I was like, please don't get me in trouble with this. I can't get in trouble. This is something that happened a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but they want for this website, they want positive stories, and they took off one of my stories a couple of weeks ago. And so now everything, because it didn't skew negative, it was just something, the topic was negative. So I've been extra careful about what I've been posting on the website, because I don't want it to come off as negative. I don't want someone to delete a story. I better get paid for that one. I'm going to tell you that right now. I spent the time writing it, and quite frankly, I don't think I will get paid for it. Anyway, but as like yesterday, I wrote a story. I won't be specific. I wrote a story about something, and it happened. The crux of it was not the crux, but part of the reason why these two people were reconnecting. There's a story about two people reconnecting who used to work together and now they're reconnecting, was because one of them was involved with personal childhood trauma that was revealed during the documentary. There we go. They're a documentary. That's it. And I'm not laughing about what happened. I'm laughing about me trying to dance around so no one could just look it up. It was Drake and Josh. I don't care. It was Drake and Josh. I wrote about Drake and Josh coming back together, and Drake Bell mentioned that he was assaulted when they were before they were on Drake and Josh, in between the Amanda Show and them getting Drake and Josh, and so I had to write around that topic. But also, Drake was appearing on Josh Peck's podcast to talk about their relationship and working as child actors and things of that nature. So I had to do that. Go look up the story. You're welcome to the dozens of listeners wondering. But it was a good piece. It was a good piece of business. And that one and a story I wrote a couple of maybe like a week ago or so. I've just been double checking, reaching out to the people in charge, going, "Is this okay? This is what I did, and this is why I did what I did." And then they're like, "Good." I just don't want anyone to say that I didn't give it a gold college try. I don't know who this guy is, but he seems fun. All right, I just closed a bunch of tabs. I hope I didn't close the one that I needed. The ones that I needed, excuse me. Other than that, that's fine. That's what I've been doing. There is one thing that I have not done that is literally sitting on my calendar notifications right now on my phone that I pushed off from yesterday. I pushed off from last week, pushed off from yesterday. It needs to be done within the next 2 weeks. Maybe I'll talk about it next week, but I'm definitely going to have to reschedule it. Which is unfortunate. I just finished having a conversation with a comedian, and that was nice. I had to rush home after Maverick's walk and sit down and watch this guy's stand up. And we had a nice chat, nice 30-minute chat or so. You can watch that at some point. Possibly after this comes out. I had to look at it. Yeah, because his thing comes out on Friday. Anyway, and that is it in terms of... I applied to a bunch of Amazon positions and more Warner Brothers positions, some Disney stuff, some Fox stuff. Listen, I'll keep my mouth... I'm telling you right now, if Fox News wants to hire me, I'll put my head down. I was like, yep. He says some crazy stuff. I'll do it. Right now, a paycheck's a paycheck, baby. Shoulder shrug. I did snatches this morning. No big deal. The shoulders are feeling big. Had to toss some weight around. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the first topic. This comes from Deadline, written by Ted Johnson. CBS Mornings to move from Times Square studio to network's Manhattan Broadcast Center. A couple of years ago, CBS Mornings moved from wherever it was, I think in downtown New York, Manhattan, to Times Square studio. In fact, that's where everybody was for a handful of years. NBC is there. Good Morning America is currently there. CNBC is there, obviously. It's just like, it was just everybody is in Times Square for what? For what reasons? It doesn't make sense at all. But now CBS Mornings, in order to save money, they're moving up. They're moving shop from where they are now in Times Square back to somewhere else. They've been there since 2021, when Nate Burleson joined Tony DeCopel and Gayle King. They wanted the reason why why GMA and the Today Show. No, Today Show's at 30 Rock. You're stupid. What I'm thinking about is Squawk Box. CNBC is in Times Square. I watch Squawk Box and CNBC from time to time, and I think on the Today Show at 30 Rock they have people outside the windows, they're like waving and they have signs and stuff. I think it'd be so funny. I think it'd be so funny to have just a bunch of dads outside of CNBC like, yeah, stocks. And the only reason I say that is because they're on the ground floor and you can see out into Times Square. Sometimes if you watch Squawk Box in particular, you can just see just like a guy in dress pants and a button-up shirt that's tucked in, just standing, just watching inside the windows. This is a single guy, just by himself. This is so funny. Just every couple of minutes, there's just an older, middle-aged man just standing there, hands in his pockets, just watching, Andrew Ross Sorkin and Betty Quick. Is that her name? I gotta find it out. Rebecca Quick. Let's see if that's her name. Rebecca Quick. I was calling her Betty. Which is longer for Becca. And Joe. Anyway, the morning shows all sought out visible space in highly trafficked areas of Manhattan. Today has been on the floor of Rockefeller Plaza for some time. Good Morning America has been in Times Square since 1999. GMA is set to leave its broadcast space as well as the news division consolidates to the new Walt Disney Company building in Hudson Square. Also located in Hudson Square is Warner Brothers Discovery. I don't know. I mean, I assume the buildings in Hudson Square are going to be nicer and newer, which is great. If you heard about Rockefeller Center, it's a very storied building with a lot of history to it, but nothing has been updated, and everything's pretty much the same. Although I heard at one point that the gym there is really nice. The gym at at Warner Brothers campus here in Atlanta is good too. At the Turner Broadcasting campus, it was really good. I always fantasized running into Shaq and Charles and Kenny in that gym when I was there. But you have to sign up for those things. You have to sign up for the gym. I had one time when I was, oh my God, was this Cartoon Network or CNN? I think it was probably Cartoon Network. When I was there working, this is like 2021, 2022. I was just walking around the campus trying to get my bearings. And quite frankly, not a lot of people were there. And we were still all wearing masks. No. This is, yeah. We're all still wearing masks and all that stuff. And I walked into the gym and there was somebody up front who was close to my age. And they was like, hey. And I was like, hey. And I just walked around. And I was there for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just walking around looking at the gym. Then the manager, as soon as I walked over they have a bunch of power blocks right next to treadmills, which was like they would have a treadmill, set of power blocks, treadmill, and power blocks are adjustable dumbbells. And I just thought that was so strange. Anyway, I walked over to the power blocks and I just put my hand out to go touch it. And the manager, who was not the person at the front desk, sprints over to me. What are you doing? You're not supposed to be in here. It's like, oh my God, dude, I was just getting a tour. Well, you want a tour? Then you come up front and then you ask for one and you have to sign up. And he gave me a pamphlet, like kicked me out. Like truly just kicked me out. And then a couple of months later, I saw that very same person on campus, and they were so smiley and hi, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Inside the gym, they were just so mean. I have no, I hold no grudge against that. I do hold a grudge against some people there. Anyway. But office moves are can be so, uprooting everybody can be very difficult. I've gone through two office moves, yes. And both were at Warner Brothers. One was at Cartoon Network, when Cartoon Network was moved off of the main campus over to the Adult Swim building, which they still currently own. Don't know what's going to happen with that. What happened there was because CNN was they sold the CNN building, and they were moving all of the CNN people who were in that building from downtown Atlanta into the Warner Bros. Campus. It kind of makes sense. Now that I'm a little bit removed from it, it kind of makes sense. It was they were going to take over, all the floors and everything. I keep hitting the mic. They were going to take over all the floors and everything in the campus. The Turner campus in Atlanta is not big, but it's also not small. It's just everything's kind of stacked on top of each other, and there's maybe 3 or 4 main buildings, but there might be like 10 or 12 buildings in total, with different mansions and different glass buildings and all that stuff, and stuff with studios and stuff with just offices, and the cafeteria, and then like the gym area and stuff like that. Anyway, so for Cartoon Network, they just basically said everything that's animation, everything that's children, is going to go across the street, not even across the street, across a highway to where you can still see the Adult Swim building from the Turner campus, but you have to cross over a connecting bridge over a highway. There's a sidewalk, but it sucks. And it's a walk. Also, there's not a lot of parking at Adult Swim, so a lot of people, namely me, who got there late. Well, not even late. No one gave a shit when you got to Cartoon Network as long as you did your job. So I would get there at like 9, and I would have to walk from the Turner campus, the Turner broadcasting buildings and garages and all that stuff, to Adult Swim, which added another 10 or so minutes. With the way Atlanta drivers drive, it's like 2 blocks total, but a death bar. And also they were updating a hotel right next to it. So you're right next to a hotel where there's construction traffic and cars and things like that. And but they had a closet full of a lot of old Cartoon Network and Adult Swim stuff, and actually just like a lot of Turner broadcasting stuff. That they had to get rid of. So they just opened it up to, everybody. It wasn't even like a single closet. It's like, it was enough to fill up 2 conference rooms. So, there were clothes and toys and DVDs and Blu-rays and video games and books. And I grabbed a lot of that stuff. Then we moved, and before I was let go, I was in the Adult Swim building. And then maybe, I don't know when I started at CNN, whatever my resume says, which is a lie. When I was at CNN, the building had been sold. So there was just a matter of when they were going to be moving. And in that time I was there, the year I was there, it was just, we're threatening like the threat of the move. We're gonna move soon. We're gonna move soon. They were doing it in staggered waves, which is what we learned. And eventually if you were in production, like if you were in a like if you were part of the broadcast team in the control rooms, then you were the last bit, and we were last bit. And so I walked around another building. I walked around. It was crazy. Oh my god, unfettered access. True, like sincerely, the only times that I was stopped was when my badge wasn't showing, and the security officers there were like, "What are you?" Speaking of gyms, I walked around. There was a gym in CNN Center that was only for CNN employees, which I'm sure, the last time I was there prior to working at CNN, I was working at Starbucks in the CNN Center, and it was bustling then in 2018. So I can only imagine that the gym was packed, and it's a big gym. It's huge. I don't know what they're doing with it now. I can only assume the plans were released for what's going to be happening there. They're calling it like the ATL Center or something like that. But I assume the shared workspaces or whatever is going to be opening up in those offices, the hotel, I don't know. There's a hotel connected to it. But I'm sure that they're going to allow those people to use that gym. It's not an updated gym, but it's huge and it's got a lot to offer. Also an indoor track that goes around like in between machines, which is so wild to me. They have a pool and a basketball court. It was nice. It was a nice gym. That was when I walked in. I said, "Can I walk around?" Because there were truly 4 people in there, and I was like, "Can I walk around?" I haven't. I've worked here for a while, and we're about to move. I've never seen it. And the woman at the front was like, "Yeah, why not? Just go." Anyway, but moving is tough. Moving is it's. I didn't help with the CNN one, but I definitely helped with the Cartoon Network one. The CNN stuff especially was, I saw every single office in that building, and there's so much crap in there. I don't know what they did with all. They had all these nice fancy Aeron chairs and all that stuff, and I wanted to take one. I remember telling my mom, I was like, "I'm going to steal one of these." I was like, "Do you want one?" "I'm going to steal one." I don't know how I would get past the security guards, but I would definitely try. Office moves can be tough, and especially if you are going like CBS Mornings, going to have to work through it. Like they have to start now, essentially, on days that they're not shooting things, and just move things that can be moved easily. Which is what's more difficult is I know they have like an overtime show with Tony DeCopel and I believe Adriana Diaz, who host like an extra hour of CBS Mornings on CBS News, the 24-hour streaming platform. But whatever. Okay, let's move on. Talking about office moves, to talk about this comes from the Wall Street Journal. Anne Marie Alcantara wrote this. These people found fame and money on LinkedIn. LinkedIn influencers exist. I've been trying so god dang hard to become one of those, and what I've seen on LinkedIn, the only things that people respond to are overly dramatic posts from people who aren't me, so they don't give a shit about me. Overly dramatic posts, very simplistic, stupid people post that stupid people post. Stupid people post that stupid people post. And then things that are not funny at all and whatsoever. And just there's so many variations of this junk, which is I'm scrolling through LinkedIn right now, and I just see the same stuff over and over and over again. Whereas if I posted it, anyway, but LinkedIn influencers exist just like Instagram, just like TikTok, just like YouTube. LinkedIn influencers do exist. Do exist? Is that what I say? Do exist. That's it. Do exist. Yes. Okay. You can have a fan base. I swear to God, if I rip okay, that was my nail against these shorts. I'm wearing Lululemon shorts. One of 2 pairs in my home. I cannot rip these. Alcantara covers people like April Little, who found themselves with 100,000 followers on LinkedIn because they asked questions like, do wait, what? It says people who lose their jobs in high-profile cuts, Little wrote, often get showered with offers for help at the expense of millions of others who have been out of work for longer. She asked, do they need a big event or company to get them through to get recognition? I'm going through this thing. Oh, it's a post. Oh, this is quoted out of context. Anyway, she found herself with 100,000 followers on the site. Then soon, she had earned $150,000 in the past 2 years as companies look to reach her 260,000 followers. But what do these influencers get? What do they do? How do they quote unquote build these brands? Well, they you use that popularity, this small portion of fame, and really just turn it into a business like any other influencer. You have to build your she and others have used their popularity to build their brands, find clients, and sign sponsorship deals. But LinkedIn is not built for that. LinkedIn, as much as it wants to pretend to be, it's not a place where people are going to gather and talk about what's going on in the day. It's not they'll say it's a virtual water cooler. But it's nothing like X or Threads or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. And even though I mentioned all those things, even those have huge discrepancies with how they communicate with one another and with how people communicate within those programs. On X, you can be as racist as you want. You're as racist as you want, and if you're still using it, you're super racist. You're supporting a racist. So stop fucking doing that. You can be as racist as you want, be as stupid as you want. On Facebook, you can be as racist and stupid and wrong as you want. On TikTok, you can be as wrong as you want and as loud as you want. It sounds like I'm bitter. I am. On Instagram, you can be as copycat as you want because you're copying from TikTok. But anyway, but truly within all of those, there's different types of conversations that can develop from out of those. But all in all, those are going to be truly less formal than what you'll find on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is something, even though people will say they don't expect much. They want to put on, I don't expect much from you. They want to put on these brave faces of, you can be all you want to be and all that stuff. They still expect like a monochrome. And by monochrome, I mean triple that. They expect 90% decorum. They want you to be you, but not to be you, which is unfortunate about LinkedIn. We can't take a TikToker and put them on LinkedIn and expect them to have the same type of success, nor can you take a LinkedIner and put them on TikTok and expect that same type of success. Gone are the days of being overly professional, especially as many industries continue to face layoffs and see fewer salary bumps. Younger generations more attuned to sharing their life. First of all, the woman that they quoted at the top is, never mind. I don't give a shit. She's 38. All right. I'm 32. All right. I'm 31. Excuse me. That's not exactly young. There's no, yes, generations are different, but we've seen success for influencers of every age. There's influencers that are in their 80s and 90s. There's influencers that are 10. It doesn't matter. Let's not talk about this generations thing. Gen Z monthly users are expected to reach 23.1 million on the platform this year, up from 21.1 million last year, according to research firm eMarketer. The thing is, no matter what happens, for jobs, you need a resume, and at some point, you're probably going to need LinkedIn. It doesn't matter where, people still have to find you and hire you. I don't think, I'll say this. I don't think it matters what college you went to. I think as long as you have a continued education, be it trade school or getting a bachelor's or associate's, whatever, as long as you have a continued education. And that was you should be able to move forward a little bit easier. And that was what the ideas were in the early 2000s, in the 90s, in the 80s. Like, you go to college, you get a job, that's it. But now it's a lot more difficult, and people don't seem to understand that. And it shouldn't matter if I went to UGA. I should still be able to get a job wherever I want, because I've applied myself and I also have the background to show it. Some star users are established personalities on TikTok and Instagram. It does not translate. But most content comes from workers and executives posting about their industry and their daily grinds. I can go, if I was a TikTok influencer right now, I could go and lambast, any company that I've worked for. I could go, Bounce TV was horrible. Let me tell you why. They stink, blah, blah, blah. And it would go, a million. But I could go to LinkedIn, and then I will become a pariah if I did the same thing. I think Miss Alcantara here is conflating two different ideals of what an influencer is. Many 9-to-5ers post on LinkedIn to, quote, bulletproof their career, says Lindsay Gamble, a marketer and consultant who had several sponsored posts on the site last year. You might not have the experience on your resume, but if you go on LinkedIn and share your thoughts, it builds your personal brand. First of all, your name is Lindsay? He? Just kidding. And we should also not, I understand I'm talking about influencers here. We should not have brands when it comes to the job site. I should not be going to work at Paramount, the Paramount lot. I'm a producer on the Paramount lot. I should not go there and be concerned about my brand. I should be concerned about the brand I'm representing, which is Paramount, which is, Fox, which is Disney, which is Warner Brothers, Netflix, whomever. It does not matter. I can be, like these great veterans we have. I can be all I can be. I'm going to get shot. I can be all I can be. But it has to help out the greater good of the company, which is a positive and a negative. Changes to the site have helped create a more influencer-friendly environment. In 2021, LinkedIn added a creator mode that gave people access to analytics and more sharing tools. They're now available to everybody. Last year, it rolled out a video tab for its mobile app. More video, like a full screen experience, is now also available on the website, with video views up 36% year over year, according to LinkedIn. But with all that, LinkedIn is not, as Miss Alcantara puts it, a hotbed of social media stars. And again, it's because when you come to LinkedIn, there should be a shift in your brain when you, at least for me, I see, jobs. It's a jobs thing. I'm not going to care about anything that's not about jobs, whether someone was laid off, whether someone got a new job, whether someone's offering a job, whether someone's offering information on jobs. I see LinkedIn News, and that's kind of enticing, but this puzzle stuff, being able to watch videos or someone did you misspell someone's name? And the other things, it just doesn't. I'm not there for the social aspect. On my part, other people might be, and it might be working for them. I've tried. I've given all I got. That's not, as the children would say, the vibe. If you ever hear me say that, kill me. But LinkedIn is not the traditional influencer site, and I see that they're trying, and at some point they're going to be. We talk about different generations. They're going to be pushing out the generations that will continue driving what LinkedIn's initial thesis is. And once you push that out, you have to find a way to keep the younger people coming back, because if this just turns into yet another social network, then the idea of them coming here instead of TikTok, it's not going to work. In the same way that we see Instagram and TikTok going back and forth, trading barbs. Here's a rap battle between Instagram and TikTok. In that same way, in that same category, people aren't going to be more accepting of another thing. And LinkedIn's not that accessible. Just because you have 23 whatever Gen Z users doesn't mean that they're necessarily using it. This might just be a landing page for them, where they can take linkedin.com/chad.c.white. I think that's what the thing is. Is that true? Nope. Not even close. But where they can take that, they can take this page and just say, yeah, all the job stuff is there. And then everything else lives on a portfolio website like it does for me, or it lives on TikTok or Instagram or a YouTube channel or or a mixture of all three. That's what that is. All right, I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cbscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people all the time. If you want to see a video version of this episode, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see a video version of the other podcasts, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and the Constitutionals podcast. Subscribe to those wherever you get your podcasts. Watch me talk to famous people under the interviews. It's called The Interviews, youtube.com/cpluscomedy. Subscribe to us. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky at @cpluscomedy. Be on those platforms @ChadBlackwhite. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.